Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. I am really tired, and also the Tyrant Lizard King Mediocrity 4.
It is me, high-powered, and I was flung back into my childhood with this episode, because this is the most Saturday morning cartoon RWBY has ever been. It's me.
I'm glad I didn't have to introduce you this time, High Power, and remind you to say your damn name. Coming at you live from Shinjuku, Tokyo, at midnight in 37-degree weather with wind. It's Dude, what the heck? That's how committed I am to you, motherfuckers. And not only that, I wanted this to be a video podcast so I could show you guys all Tokyo, but apparently, unfortunately, we can't do that.
Yeah. If you send me like some pictures, I could throw them up on OBS.
I do have a lot of pictures, so I will probably do that for you.
I meant to bring that up earlier, but anyway, we got one more person.
Yeah, sorry, I am also kind of sleepy. But let's go over this one more time. I am Robert.
Yeah, and Sock might be able to join us later. He might not. There is an empty space in the framing of the image that you all are privy to right now, and there's a sock-shaped hole. Yeah. So this episode was really short, and do we even want to address, because we had a short episode earlier this volume, do we want to just reiterate how stupid it is for people to complain about 10-minute long episodes when we used to have episodes that were like 4 minutes long?
Yeah.
And not only that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, not only that, but my biggest thing is, why are you complaining about a short episode that actually had stuff happening the entire time? And last season, we had long episodes where nothing happened the entire time.
A fucking min.
Honestly, like, this episode was not perfect to me. I do have complaints about it. But I honestly did not notice the length. Like, it felt fine to me, honestly. That's not one of my complaints, personally. And neither is a complaint about last week's episode.
Yeah, so basically, what this episode is it's Escape from Argus. It is their plan being executed and their plan starting to fall apart. Because Blake ruins everything and Adam ruins everything, and
don't say Adam ruins everything. That show is shit.
I had to, out of obligation for the memes.
In fairness, I'll give you that. Memes are the lords.
Yes.
So, I will say this though with this episode, as stated in the opening statement, and I want to echo this between y'all. Media has always mentioned that he wanted that he would like RWBY to be a Freak of the Week show.
Yeah.
This episode is the closest we've ever gotten to media's idea, to media's preferred RWBY.
I won't say it's the closest, but it's certainly another example that more or less proves me right, because
it could happen.
Because getting into the long and short of it, I think Argus Limited was actually like the closest of what I would want in the opening of this volume, the first episode in this volume with the Manticores. That was the closest to what I would want from every episode.
Okay, because the thing, I guess a minor disagreement with you on that, media, is I would say that would be the best for what you're talking about, but I kind of agree with High Powered with this being the closest to what you would typically think of as Freak of the Week. I think Argus Limited does go a little beyond Freak of the Week, personally.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons why Argus Limited is a better episode, because it does both. Exactly. It does both exceptionally well for the show.
This felt like, I think Howard said it first, but I wanted to make sure we reiterate it here. This felt like the most Saturday morning cartoon episode ever of RWBY.
Yeah, but a lot of my complaints with this episode are with the more long form storytelling aspects of it. It's complaints I've had with previous episodes. The cringeworthy guards from 2 episodes ago. Yep, they're still cringeworthy. Cordova being annoying. Yep, she's still annoying. Them kind of dropping the ball a little bit. Yeah, them kind of dropping the ball a little bit.
I don't think she makes a good Freak of the Week.
Yeah, Adam is better at that, and they kind of dropped the ball with that. I think they needed one more little Adam tease before this.
Yeah.
I definitely
like an
agree
episode like an episode or two ago to really make it land. Because the only hints we've gotten at Adam have been just so brief to the point
Random and
where some people even suspect whether or not it was real.
Yeah, this was way too out of nowhere for my taste.
And it
Now,
might have helped if he was, and I'm still wondering, like, when Yang saw him, was that really him, or was that still a hallucination? Because he was wearing the white fang mask at that time, this weird black mask.
Yeah. I mean, he was in his Volume 3 outfit, and when
he
Yang
was
saw
doing
him.
the Bird Box challenge. We all know that.
Oh God!
I don't get.
It is almost. Let's be honest. It is almost too convenient.
Yeah.
So here's my thing too. Also, is like, oh, I've been following you since what? Mistral is what he said.
Yeah.
So that implies that he purposely threw himself off the train.
Yeah.
Purposely followed them and survived the apathy.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the chance that he was on the half of the train with Team Juniper and he just waited for them in Argus.
Yeah.
There's also that possibility, but I don't think that really matters so much.
On the side of the train that kept going forward, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was also like just not there a second later.
That still doesn't make sense to me. I personally, my headcanon is that's still a hallucination.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense either way. Is the thing, and I think
Yes,
it would
okay,
be.
yeah,
I think it would be. I think it would be.
way.
I just think it would be less stupid for it to be something Blake really did notice, and didn't even like really dignify because it was so brief and stuff, and he was so quick. I'm willing to believe that Adam is just that fast. And we kind of see that in this episode with him like just night crawling his way through he got super freaking fast in this episode.
Apparently he found himself a hyperbolic time chamber to train in.
Well, here's my thing though too. Also, this is like this is a nitpicky moment too. Also, is like so Blake's going up to this cell phone tower, which is a guarded cell phone tower too. Also, like who actually guards a cell phone tower?
Atlas. Yeah, Atlas. When the entire like communications thing of the whole region is tied to that tower.
So here's the thing though. Blake walks up to it, sees a knocked out and/or dead Atlesian guard, and immediately doesn't like radio over like every band for like.
I don't think she had seen the dead guard until after her scroll broke.
That's not even the biggest issue. Is why did Yang just go with her? The stealth thing doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of understand
because the characters are
that's not stealthy. But
well, it's a dumb move, but it's like character dumb. Like the characters were just kind of being dumb, and I am willing to excuse.
It's horror film dumb.
I am willing to excuse characters acting dumb, so long as the writers like kind of realize they are acting dumb. Which, I mean, the fact that this plan is completely falling apart because Yang didn't go with Blake is kind of proof that the writers know that it was kind of dumb for them to separate the way they did.
That's a good point. I walk around in a freezing city. Correct.
Also, I think that's kind of what they were thinking with all the banter going on between Weiss and Maria. Is kind of acknowledging, okay, we know that like this doesn't entirely make sense, but just have fun with it. But like Weiss knows it. I don't know. I feel like they could have.
Yeah. Let's back up to the beginning. So
I was gonna say, do we want to take it more chronologically at this point?
Yeah.
So the first bit is Weiss has basically agreed to go back to Atlas, and Maria Calavera is being smuggled via a suitcase into the ship. John's
that
sister,
part of the plan I actually like. I think both of those things do kind of make sense.
Yeah, so John's sister used her kid, which both of their names escape me at this time.
Saffron and Adrian.
Yeah, Saffron and Adrian. And used the kid to create a distraction, and then we get more high-level cringe from the Atlesian troopers, and it's like, a baby, we must console it. We are not robots,
Yeah.
we promise. TM. Beep boop bop. Does Atlas just have a bunch of Mark Zuckerbergs in the military, like Mark Zuckerberg clones? Because that's what
No,
it
because they're
feels
even
like.
more cringe than he is.
Yeah.
All that money does weird things to people. Not saying you shouldn't be rich or anything, but it does weird shit to people.
Yeah, but basically they're.
It's. I think we've already touched on how
I'm also
annoying.
wondering, like, how did she, like, why did they even let Saffron in the base in the first place? Like, what did I say? Oh, hey, these guys, they've been looking out.
She's
for
my
me this
chaperone
entire-
while I'm
yeah, she's my
here.
chaperone. Can she see me off? It's like, why?
All that's gonna do is get Saffron in trouble,
Yeah, exactly.
and
It's
watch
like,
them completely
guys,
ignore.
You just made. Yeah, exactly. It's like, congratulations.
Watch them completely ignore
guys, you just
Saffron
made
getting in
justice.
trouble.
Yeah, they will.
And let's be honest, like if it was
And
realistic, and if they
Terracotta
didn't
get in
fuck up-
trouble too also.
Yeah, I was gonna say Terracotta would get in trouble because they would find out who Terracotta was, and then they would know that she would know how to help them with this shit, and then she would get in trouble. So really,
Yeah,
it's
like
only
the
a
whole
bad
this
idea.
conversation never happened thing is kind of like, you really think they're not gonna figure it out?
Now
They
I
also
do.
didn't even need the distraction. They could have just
Yeah.
waited until the plane took off and took the guards out then, while they were
Yeah.
up in the air. Who even gives a shit?
Yeah.
Why you need the baby distraction in the first place?
Yeah.
It's just
So-
more shit.
It was-
Did they
so-
literally write the baby distraction just so they could have the guards continue to be fucking annoyingly cringy?
No, I
feel like
don't
maybe
think so.
it was
I
one
don't
of
think
those
so.
things where
I
they
think
were
what.
like, let's give Saffron something.
Yeah. I
They
kind
didn't need
of
Saffron
like.
to do anything they do. They could just have how to do something.
I know, it's like, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's.
Yeah, I think it
appreciate
was
what they're doing here, but it's like, yeah, we didn't need to. She's fine, without getting super involved in this plan.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where they were just pulling Chekhov's gun on having Tara and Saffron actually involved instead of just having them be two superfluous, pointless fan service characters. You know?
Yeah. But it's like they weren't. They never were. No, I don't know.
It's like
At
I
least
said. It's like I
never
said.
thought
It's
of
like
that
I said
as
in my
such, but I'm
review.
glad- Yeah.
It's like I said in my review for that episode. I got feelings that 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 at least Tara was going to be somewhat involved in how they got out at Argus, and I was right on
Yeah, I
that.
think we all talked
And that
about
was-
that, didn't
yeah,
we?
we all
Yeah.
thought so. Yeah, and it was good, and it worked out. But yeah.
Well, a less than 3 minute review is a little easier to cite than a 2 hour podcast.
Yes, very true, very true.
True. Yeah.
But anyways, besides that, like the beginning of the plan at least makes sense to me. I'm
Yeah.
fine with putting Marie in a suitcase. She is tiny; it makes sense. And Weiss, the idea of Weiss going back to Alice, like that was kind of foreshadowed, so that makes sense too. What's the short lady's name?
Cordova.
Cordova?
Yeah, Cordovan.
Whatever.
Cordovan. She is pompous enough to be the kind of person to just completely and utterly buy that bullshit point, hook, line, and sinker. So
Yeah.
all of that
Oh,
makes sense
hey,
so
I
far.
convinced
Oh,
you,
I
even though
do
am
appreciate.
a bitch doing it.
I do appreciate the shit posting from Maria with Cat.
I don't.
As lame as that was, I appreciated it.
I don't mind that either. I think the Maria and Cordovan battle this time was not as bad as it was in the previous episode when they were just.
It was fun
arguing
on
with each other.
Maria's end. Like Maria, I don't know. Maria was funny and all.
Yeah, no, I think it helps that it's more Maria talking, and we like Maria. I think most people seem to like Maria. I know I do.
Yeah, and so we have the whole thing where Maria goes to the ship, and she like her reasoning, like I don't know. So I feel like in this whole scene, Maria is like the stand-in for Miles and Carrie, and Weiss is the sit-in for the audience, kind of. So like Maria's all like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm the." Oh no, yeah. So Maria's all like, "What part of greatest huntress of her generation didn't you understand?" And Weiss has this little look of, "That doesn't make you a pilot." And then like, so like just the whole back and forth, you get the feeling that it's like, okay, we know we know.
So
We just have fun with. Just enjoy this. It's fun.
That doesn't bother me in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because
And also, it's like
maybe
it was
this
either
is
gonna be her or Crow. So
maybe this is because like are any of you familiar with the pulp icon called the Phantom?
I am aware of it.
No, media.
I am
I don't
aware.
know about
Okay,
the Phantom.
so-
Even though he's a guy that you have a fan fiction that's based that has
No,
a character based off of him.
you're thinking of the Shadow. Same era, but the Phantom, he looks goofy, but do not let the looks deceive you. He wears like a purple spandex onesie and a black mask. But he is a badass. And the whole like conceit of the Phantom is that it's actually a moniker that gets passed down through the generations.
Okay.
It's actually, I think,
Kind of like the Dread Pirate Roberts.
yeah, I think that's what Dread Pirate Roberts was actually based off of, was the Phantom.
Makes sense.
Because the most popular Phantom that I'm aware of was also like a very swashbuckling type hero. You know, he had like a cutlass sword that he would get in sword fights with villains with. But the point I'm trying to make is that he wasn't just a fighter. He was also like a really good pilot and a really good doctor, and he was just really good at all these sorts of things, that these like really little detailed things that always helped him with his missions.
Yeah.
With his crusades. And I can totally see Maria being the same way, where she just learned how to pilot a ship so that she could drive herself to all her missions and not have to deal with having a pilot friend.
And I actually didn't like that, because I could see Maria just being the kind of person like, no duh, I know how to fly a ship. I'm just that fucking awesome. And I actually
I'm the Groom fucking
was
Reaper,
gonna be-
bitch.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem buying that at all.
Yeah, my only issue is that it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, they're doing it for our benefit, but they're only doing it for our benefit. Why didn't they have this conversation before they initiated the plan?
Yeah.
Well, they could have said like earlier that Weiss was going to pilot.
Yeah. Did they mention that Weiss wanted to pilot? I can't remember. Did they do that?
I do not.
Think, and I did this earlier in the episode too, where I talked about the why didn't Yang go with Blake thing. I think we're getting a little nitpicky. I'll admit that what I said was nitpicky as well. That doesn't bother me too much, because it still worked as an interaction, honestly, and it did give us more of Maria's personality. So I'm personally,
it was
okay
enjoyable, and I was okay.
Yeah, like honestly, really. To this point of the episode, the only thing I didn't like was the continued cringy guard bullshit. I mean, whatever.
I'm glad I
doesn't
threw them
ruin-
out of the plane. So
Yeah. So the next step of the next step of their plan is to take off, take down the two guards, and then wait for Blake to shut down the radar tower, so that they can swing by and pick everyone else up without being tracked.
without the radar finding them. Yep.
Yeah.
Which all makes sense, except for the fact
that Adam had to come in and ruin the day.
Dude, you cut off there. Except for what?
Yeah. Except for the fact that what?
I think he might still be having internet problems.
Am I back?
No, yeah,
Am I good now?
you're back.
You're good.
I said, except for the fact that you relied on Blake for literally anything.
I mean, it's nice that they're giving her something to do. She's been pretty.
And she still fucked it up.
Far in the background. It's not her fault Adam chased her.
It's not her fault that she has terrible taste in men.
And they acknowledge, like Maria does acknowledge, oh, somebody dropped the ball.
At this point, At this
and
point,
I do also think they had a
and-
good reason for it, though. That it's like Yang's not stealthy. Although I would argue, then take Ren with you.
Yeah.
Good point.
So at this point,
Volume
4.
Ren's never want to fight in his life.
Yeah. Volume 4 and 5, Blake, just broke me so much that I actually kind of take sadistic pleasure anytime she's responsible for anything screwing up. Because it's just like it's literally just it's like
you're just like, yeah.
it's like I get to do the fuck you I was right dance.
It's
Yeah,
almost
no.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
I'll admit, like,
It really is.
exactly, like, my joke on that too is the same thing. It's like, it's not really Blake's fault. And in fairness, Blake is not anything that's wrong with this episode. The Adam stuff is, spoiler, that's the stuff I have the biggest problem with, but it's not Blake's fault. But I still can't help but blame Blake for it because I fucking hate her so much because of Lions 4 and 5.
Okay, fair enough.
She's not as bad anymore, but she still hasn't done anything good.
So speaking of this, the big like there's two like weird like there's the Adam reveal, which like Adam has just kind of been this like looming storm front on the distance, and I guess the show got low pressure enough it got sucked in.
We should get to that later though because we still have to talk about the mecha.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's a robot. Man, it's so weird
yes.
that they're doing a robot in the show. I remember. I have to agree with Secure here because he mentioned it's like okay, the robot like almost broke the absurdity chart for RWBY, and I agree with him there. It almost broke the absurdity chart.
The only reason it doesn't, in my opinion, is because they have had mini mechs before.
Okay,
so
but those were mini mechs. They weren't giant walking fortresses that you think, how much money did that cost? And who?
I mean, I agree. It's dumb.
But yeah.
This is one of my two biggest problems with this episode. Even worse than the cringy humor is, what the fuck is this mech and why does it exist? I did kind of just defend it. I did just kind of defend it by saying like it's not completely broken because they did have tech and they do talk about how Atlas is powerful. So those two things stop it from being unforgivably ridiculous. But it's still really cheesy. It's really lame. And why is Cord even the one piloting it? This is like, as soon as it started happening, I just thought she's like a mini boss. You know, did you guys ever play Star Fox 64?
Kind of, yeah.
She feels like one of the.
I played OG Star Fox.
She sounds like one of the level bosses in Star Wars 64, where it's like you'll never come and they defeat her in her stupid weird spacecraft thingy, and then she says something, "You'll never defeat Andros," and then that's what she's gonna do. Like, you'll never defeat Atlas when she gets beaten. Like, it's gonna be that level of stupid lame. So I can think of. This is a lame level boss.
Yeah, the giant mech was weird and out of place in Legend of Korra, and it's weird and out of place here.
Yeah, like, why does she look that, like, okay, she's in a really big, intimidating, powerful mech, right? But she's so lame and so cringy that she's not threatening. And you know they're going to make it to Atlas, so there's no tension that this is actually going to be a real threat. Yeah. And it's actually made even worse with Adam's arrival because... Now Adam's
Adam's more threatening than the giant fucking robot.
Which has other problems too. Like the way they did Adam is also a problem. But those are the two problems. Like, it's just not executed as well as it should have been. Yeah, and exactly. It's close to. The funny thing is, if she had just sent fighters, there'd be a lot less problems with this episode if they just sent fighters, which is funny because they made a joke about her not sending fighters. It would have been better if she sent fighters.
How could Yang see from where she was at, or how could Weiss see from where she was at that they weren't sending fighters? Like, that was also weird.
Plot convenience, but
plot convenience. Okay. Maybe she looked at the radar, the Auspex, and they're like, "Oh, no fighters on the Auspex."
I don't know. Yeah, I will say this. I do also like I don't know. I feel like
Weiss low-key knew about the mech because Atlas, and she was just in the know about that project.
But oh crap, they gave it to her. But yeah, I do like
Maria's.
So here's my problem with the mech.
What's your favorite line, Robert?
My favorite line isn't. So I think this might be my favorite line.
Hold on, you're
Master.
You're cutting out for me.
Yeah, everybody get back. Everybody get back. You said they knew your jargon. Jargon was fine. Pilots are not elderly or
Oh yeah, jargon was fine.
That was
yeah,
actually
that
funny.
part was
That was
that
great.
line, just that deadpan jargon was fine, but our pilots are not elderly. That to me was the funniest line of this
It was
entire
not. It was also good because Maria's voice actress. I don't know who she is or what she's done, in the past. She really sold it.
No, yeah.
She really
Yeah,
sold
she did a
it.
very good job.
Yeah, like she sounded good. Like she did sound good when she says it, but then it's
Like,
lady, it was doomed to fail from the start.
like
Okay?
we made jokes about during our Star Wars podcast about Harrison Ford having trouble with lines like that. She freaking knocked it out of the park, and you know
She did.
that this is not the kind of series where they do multiple takes, because
Yeah.
if they did, then Aaron, Zach, and Garrett Hunter would not be as insufferable as they are, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my main problem with the mech is actually just an aesthetic thing. It doesn't look like it fits with Atlas.
No, it looks
That's
more
true.
like
Yeah, Atlas has
it
always
looks like
had
an
this
Earth
very
Kingdom
sleek,
golem.
I
cool
swear,
look to
I
it,
swear
and
to
this
God,
just looks-
I swear to God, if this was a mech designed for Genlock and they just chose it to be the giant mech in RWBY at random, then I'm going to scream.
Yeah. If we see something in Genlock that's the giant mech that they had from 6 of RWBY, fuck you.
We are podcasting Genlock, everybody who's
Yeah.
listening, so we
Yeah.
will catch that probably
Okay.
Yeah,
if it's there, because we are going to be podcasting
We
that.
are watching.
So I have seen the first episode through a I 4chan actually delivered for once, and I got a spicy mega upload link for it. So I
Yeah.
have seen the first episode, whatever they just like kind of threw it out
Yeah.
into the wind.
Yeah, so it was Floof and that whole gang, the Team Frostbite gang. Yeah. I
man.
really and
The-
this is a okay. So and so the mech thing is also just an extension of a problem I've had with these last couple episodes. I really dug the aesthetics for Atlas in volumes 2, 3, and 4.
And this does not look like Atlas anymore.
Nothing in Argus looks like Atlas. They keep saying that it's Atlas. They keep saying that it's Atlas tech. That the whole like glowy blue thing is all Atlas stuff. Like, no, the glowy blue stuff wasn't really Atlas's signature. It was the really slick looking utilitarian, pure white, super clean, pristine, almost like the evil empire from Star Wars style aesthetic.
Yeah.
And that was awesome because Star Wars is awesome and that aesthetic is awesome. And I just none of this in Argus I complained about with the Tweedledee and Tweedledum freaking guards a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
How their uniform, like, what did they do to that Atlas
You know
uniforms?
what the
They
aesthetic
ruined
that
them.
this
It's like
that
they
this
just said,
has?
"Oh, bigger is better." It's not.
So
Yeah,
this
the problem is that I love the city of Argus. Honestly, it's the best designed city they've had so far by a massive margin, in my opinion. Like, not even close. But the Atlas part of Argus
Hey, Coop.
is one of the worst.
Freaking stock visit here. I poop and I summon.
Okay.
And as always, he has made some appearance.
Yeah. So we're like basically right in the middle of the current episode talking
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Just to
yeah.
catch
We're
you
we're, ta-
up.
we're talking about the mech right now.
Okay, so this is my
that.
opinion on the mech. The mech is a very Warhammer 40k vibe. Just
It
minus
really
like
does.
Yeah.
like the only thing it's missing is like some skulls and like a Gothic cathedral sitting on the top of it. But other than that,
Exactly.
it's got a very 40k
Yeah.
sort of vibe where it's like,
And 15 more cannons. Don't forget 15 more cannons.
well, yeah, and also like any one of those 1 out of 15 cannons could level 60 blocks ease. Because that's what I love about Warhammer 40k and its literature is this scale. It's like, oh look at how big our ship is. It's like several times larger than the Death Star, and several times larger than the biggest star defense Star Trek ship. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get off that high horse.
But yeah, best quote from 40K is there's no such thing as enough enough DACA, because enough's more than you got and less than too much, and there's no such thing as too much DACA.
Yeah.
I like how the orcs are just British, which is true
Yeah.
because they have terrible teeth.
I gotcha.
Teeth is their currency.
I want to.
So anyway,
Uh,
but after the mech part, now do we get? Does anybody have anything else to say before we finally get to the Adam part? Because I do have another little mini rant about this.
So I want to mention Adam before. I just want to like throw this out before you start, dude. Is Adam blind?
Okay, so I'm not the only one wondering about it. Yeah, because there is no way he can see through that blindfold.
I don't think
And
it's a
so-
blindfold.
I don't think it's a blindfold either. I
Okay,
think it's
do that
poorly
fast.
designed.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Okay,
one of the
fine.
see-through blindfolds.
I
like
do think
how-
there's a chance. I now that you say that, I did not think of that at first. I do think could be a chance that he's blind, but I personally think that is just it's just bad design.
Because if he's blind and his semblance is like absorbing energy and dishing it back out,
Yeah.
kind of makes a little bit more thematic sense if he's blind, because he's like doing the whole like blind swordsman daredevil, like, oh, I hear the bullets rustling on the wind, so I'm gonna deflect them, sort of
Yeah.
bullshit.
But like, yeah. So Adam is just I don't know.
So my rant is that
Go
okay.
for it.
So rant time, right? Am we good?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right. So
You'll probably say it better than me.
this is in my case. This is my opinion. This is really dumb. Putting Adam in here is, I think, a very poor choice, and they did it just out of pure convenience because they got Blake alone. Like that's so like they made it convenient so they could shove him in here. The biggest problem for me is that he's not a threat here because he's by his fucking self. And spoiler alert, the entire audience, most of the audience, it's not just us, Blake is the least popular character right now, and she has been for a while. So there isn't that much tension with him fighting her. Nobody really gives a shit. And he's by himself. What's he gonna do? Hurt Blake? If everybody else comes, he's fucked, which is what's gonna happen. So
Yeah.
what's the point of having him do this? What we said a long time, what we've been saying is he needs to team up with Cinder and Neo, and then with all three of them, and maybe some more goons or some shit, they'd actually be a threat. That would make sense to me. That would work. I think that's the reason why we all thought that, was because that's the only way that any of them individually are a threat. Now it's just him by himself. Who gives a shit? They're gonna beat him. What's gonna happen? Nothing.
I mean,
And then
Right.
if then when we get Cinder and Neo, if it's just them two, again, just two of them, I don't against everybody on team RWBY, Junior, Maria, and Crow, and Oskar, because apparently he's actually a good fighter magically. There's no tension there. What the fuck's gonna happen? Like, why are we supposed to think that anything's a threat? They take the threat out of it. Also, the exchange between Blake and Adam is, again, still not. And
Kinda-
it's actually
kinda-
not Blake's
the
fault.
dialogue is stupid.
It's not. I don't blame Blake for this, because I actually kind of agree with her when she just says, like, did you just like go away and like stop thinking about me? Like, I just don't give a shit anymore. Which is kind of funny because for the first time ever, I feel like Blake is actually speaking for the fans.
Yeah.
Well, I like the lights too. Also, I mean, it kind of fits your character. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna put you. It's like that one thing where what is it in Mad Men where it's like where they're in the elevator and the other guy's like, dude, I don't even think about you at all. It's basically
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Oh God.
It's like-
And Adam's line, the whole like, why did you have to come into my life and then ruin it?
Yeah, and
God,
like
he's such an edgy pile of trash.
and he's
And
going
by
back
the way,
and forth
if
the
you haven't,
entire time with like what he's saying. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
been waiting for that. I've been waiting for you to get away from them so we can have this confrontation."
see, I
But
like
then he's
that. I like
complaining about
that.
her coming back into it. But then he's complaining about her coming back into his life. Then he gets all hurt when she.
I don't think.
says,
I don't.
"Just
I
move
don't think.
on."
Yeah, I don't think he. I don't think he was talking about her coming back into his life. I think it was talking about her coming into his life at all. Like before she even left. Before she even left the White Fang.
The way it's done, that he's all like, "Why did you have to come into my life?" And then he's back to, "Oh, I'm so hurt that you feel like we should, that like I should just let you go." It's like you're jumping back and forth, contradicting yourself, and like and like he sounds stupid. So I don't
That
know.
sounds stupid.
and
my
there's a
other my
couple-
other issue is that
I don't know.
he
Couple
felt
things-
very thrown in here because
Yeah.
he wasn't really in the volume at all. He was in that one little teaser
Yeah,
thing.
well, yeah. He was in the character short. He had a whole scene in the first episode where he murdered a bunch of White Fang gooks and then cut the throne in half. And then we see him. And then we most likely see him on the train. We get the PTSD flashback when we were in Brunswick Farms, and then this. They literally just needed one more, just literally 5 seconds. 5-second scene. Show him 5 seconds. 5 second scene.
One more would have solved it.
Like when they're pulling up into Argus, like pull the camera back, show a tree. He's on the tree. Cut. Print. Finish. This whole plot line is fixed.
Yeah, and I think that like in terms of like
okay, not this whole plot, not this whole plot line because, and I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a minute, but yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of the fact that nobody really cares about Blake, I mean, they can't put the plot, like they can't put things on hold just because the audience, in particular, thrilled with Blake. Like they can't just they can't just have an entire volume of I don't know. Yeah, things still need to happen, and honestly, Adam just needs to get lost. Like we've been pointing out, he's lost his threatening. I don't know, everything that made him threatening, and so I feel like there's no he just needs to go, and so it's like just send him off. Also, I don't think it's going to be the entire team that fights Adam. It's just going to be Blake and Yang, but still, he got nerfed so hard back in Volume 5 that it doesn't. Yeah, it does. He's not going to feel like a threat.
So my point with that though is not. It's not the main point. Isn't that people don't care about Blake? The main point is that he doesn't feel like a threat, and it just putting up against Blake doesn't make him any more of a threat to me.
Therein lies the thing. Okay, so first off,
my biggest issue is he needs to be with the whole.
So first off. I'm gonna start with the negatives, and then I'll break into what I kind of did like about this fight. Adam was never going to work after Volume 5. He got ruined. He wasn't the character who got ruined the most, but he was the one who got ruined the most irreparably. You can fix Cinder by bringing her back and giving her focus. They've actually done that already in this volume. You can fix a lot of what's wrong with Raven by bringing her back and giving her focus and purpose, and really cutting down on the BS. Adam has focus. Adam has purpose. That's not the problem. The problem is that he was supposed to be one of the big bads of the show, and he got one shot by arguably the weakest member of Team RWBY.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is Adam just a worse Neo?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
carrying on with this, just looking at some other possibilities. He comes back, gets one shot again. Why did they ever bring him back? He comes back and he's freaking tearing stuff up, taking on all the Team RWBY or whatever. Why didn't he do that in Volume 5? This I think is the only passable, it's not even good, but it's the only passable way they could have handled it, which was create a scenario in which Adam is kind of a threat by having Blake be on her own. And it's not just that she's on her own, it's that she ain't got time to actually fight him. For every second she wastes is a second that Weiss can be shot down and dead and could be dead.
Yeah.
So she's in like panic mode, not even like trying to like get away from Adam so that she can shut down the tower and save Weiss, basically. And Adam is feeding into that by continuously getting in her way. And this is kind of a neutral thing with this fight scene. The way it starts, I wish we would have saw how it actually started instead of jumping right in the middle, because it leaves some questions, like Robert mentioned earlier, like why didn't she call for help right away?
Yeah, doesn't she like land on her own phone or something?
No. Her phone is already broken when it cuts to that scene, and she drops it and she like throws it down and stomps on it or whatever, and just steps on it because it's already like the communication's already like not working anymore. Which leads me to believe that literally she snuck into the tower or whatever, and then right off the bat, Adam shot the scroll. Like she went to like call in, saying that she was there. Adam shoots the scroll. Blake knows Adam's there. She starts freaking out, sees the dead guard, and that's when we dropped in. Was literally right after that happened.
Yeah.
So here's a thought, and I floated this on the on like the Discord chat. Speaking of which, y'all should join the Discord.
Yes.
Because you could say things to me, and then it could be brought up on the podcast. So good reason to join. So
and
I
you
feel
get
like
to bask in Coop's memes in the meme channel.
So this is my humble opinion. I feel like they are going to use Adam as a plot device. They're gonna they might do it. They're gonna dangle Adam Taurus like a carrot on the stick at Cordova, because it's like, oh, wanted enemy of the state of Atlas. We'll just trade him and let y'all fuck off. I feel like that's
maybe
it.
not let them, but like, oh god, that actually could be really bad though if they end it with like they defeat Adam and like that's what makes Cordovan forgive them. I'd rather them get away and have Atlas still pissed at them.
Oh no, they just. I'm thinking just more like just a distraction. Like they just throw Adam to the Atlas Wolves and then just fly away.
Yeah, your idea works. I know what you're going for. You're going for like they get distracted by Adam and go for him because he's a bigger prize, and then they still try to get them, but they can't. They get Adam instead. But I'm just worried that being the Rooster Teeth, they're gonna solve the problem between them, and I think that would be really lame. Show up to Atlas as outlaws.
So here's the other thing I want to bring up too. Also, what this also with Adam showing up the way he is makes me feel like Cinder and Neo are gonna show up to kill Steel. Like after all this shenanigans is done, then Cinder and Neo are gonna show up and like.
What episode are we on? What episode's next week?
Next week is episode 11, so we got 3 more episodes.
3 episodes left.
That's a lot of episodes for that to happen. I feel like.
Yeah.
Well,
if next week was episode 12, I could see that. I could still be wrong. I could definitely still be wrong. But I feel like that, especially because we know one of the episodes is a 2-parter, really. So it's almost like we have even more episodes left. I kind of feel like, because they were originally planned to be 14, so I do feel like that might be a little too much left. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. I could be wrong about that.
Well,
no, you're right, but we don't really know how things got reallocated. Time wise.
Yeah, there was an episode earlier that I do feel like could have been the 2 that got smashed together.
Yeah, and they very well could have like another stretch where they basically don't do anything, like happened a couple of weeks ago, basically.
Yeah.
Where they're all just.
Well, that would only reinforce my point, though, that it's not the time when Neo and Cinder come in.
Yeah.
God, just imagine this whole volume goes down and just Neo and Cinder just don't show up. They're just that behind.
I don't know if they are going to show up
behind. So
I don't know if they are going to show up. It might just be one of those things
where they're still they're still chasing them. There's volume.
I don't know if they are. I think if they do, I still think it would be like the last 2 episodes. I think for me, I'd be honest, I'd prefer if they get away from, they beat Adam, but don't like make a big conclusion out of it because that would take too long. And then they get to Atlas and immediately are confronted by both Atlas military and then at the same time the Watts plan and the Cinder shit all at the same time. I'd actually like all that fucking chaos at once.
All of that stuff, yeah, that could work. But I guess another thing that I just wanted to, I don't know. Again, with Adam's dialogue here, so yeah, something like I've kind of commented on. I've seen some people try it, and I don't know. Just want to go on a bit of a tangent here about, I don't know, how to, like, I've seen a lot of people who've tried to excuse that by saying, oh, well, he's unstable and he's like narcissistic and he's crazy and stuff like that. He's not supposed to make sense.
That's not an excuse for being freaking weak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, his argument is, well, not even that he's weak. It's that, like, his dialogue, everything he says to Blake makes no sense. And it's like that's my biggest problem, is that he's all over the place. And it doesn't make him feel threatening. I just finished watching Bakano for, like, the third time because it's a fun show. And then that you have a character who erratically, like, changes his opinion, changes his philosophy on the flip of a dime, and it's used to emphasize that he's unstable, he's unpredictable, he's dangerous. It makes him like a scary character because you can never really read him and you never know what he's going to do, and it works. And with this doesn't make Adam intimidating or frightening, it just makes him look stupid. And so it just doesn't work with Adam.
No, can I
again, like it's still stupid, but less stupid than if he were to try to fight all of them at once.
Okay.
Yes, that's true. I think. Oh, he's specifically talking about the dialogue.
Yeah,
the dialogue.
I agree. Media, you made some good points. You did make some good points there, Media. So my response to Robert is not in disagreement because I actually do completely agree with you, but more as an answer as to why I think they do that. I honestly think a big part of this happened when they decided to just make Adam the abusive ex-boyfriend trope and like overly edify him and just make him like, look guys, he's abusive to Blake, he's terrible. Yeah. So all they do is just
which I covered in my honest look at the White Fang.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm probably channeling some of your honest look at the White Fang here, Media. Obviously, I watched it a couple of times, but I think what I mean is like I'm not saying they planned it out. That's the point. Is they're just like all they can think of is like,
well, would an abusive ex-boyfriend
because they're Rooster Teeth and they are woke. They just think like they just spew all the typical edgy abusive boyfriend bullshit that they can think of out of Adam's mouth. So of course it doesn't make sense and contradicts itself because, well, duh, that's what happens when you try to push that narrative that doesn't actually make sense. You end up not making sense, which is I honestly think that's what they're doing with him is they don't know how to write actual abuse or actual like bad relationships. They don't understand relationships that well in general, because even though they somehow got Renora to work, although they've kind of not been doing that lately, but I don't think they really understand how to write that sort of thing. So they just have him say all of the mean, evil things, and it doesn't make sense because they don't plan it out. They just, oh, he's a jerk, he's abusive.
Ex-boyfriend response.
Yes, exactly. Insert abusive ex-boyfriend response here. So everybody will have sympathy for Blake, but actually, no, they don't, because all they do is just realize how dumb Adam sounds and how much of an idiot Blake is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
Adam's
I'm
just
okay
looking...
with Adam being back. I'm glad that I'm glad that he is kind of a threat, even though he shouldn't be, considering how bad he was in Volume 5.
Again, yeah, I think Media made a good point.
It's as good as it's gonna get.
I guess I do have to take back a little bit of what I said earlier, because I think Media makes a very good point of this is really the only way he's even slightly a bit of a threat, because it is just versus Blake, and it's not just about Blake, it's about if Blake doesn't succeed, then Weiss can die. So that's actually a very good point by Media, so I do take back what I said a little bit. And if they do kill Adam here, then I like it a lot more. If this is where they get rid of him once and for all, overall, this becomes a lot better because it is kind of more side, and he's not really main focus. He's really only a distraction for what they're really trying to do. That's fine. I actually like that a lot. This is where the kill will for good.
But I do also agree that right now Adam feels like a giant mech, which is not good. So,
Yeah, if anything, he's more is not even him. It's the fact that he makes a giant mech even later, as I mentioned earlier. But that's not his fault. That's more the giant mech's fault.
yeah, that's more just a
I
result
think.
of the giant.
Yeah, the mech kind of like doesn't like temper it. It's like the mech's kind of like swamp gas that just rolled up there. It just made it feel weird.
Yeah.
As much as I've been saying, like Adam doesn't feel like that much of a threat by himself. I still maintain that he's still more of a threat than the stupid giant mech thing, which we know is going to lose because Corbin is a fucking idiot loser, annoying cringe fest.
Yeah. And I do.
Hold on, you're cutting
Yeah,
off.
something I'm.
Yeah, there you go. You should be good now, I think.
Sorry.
No, I think that was you.
Yeah. Well, I'm the one recording.
I
so.
lost my train of thought anyway,
Yeah.
So sorry, but someone else can talk, I guess, if they want to.
So let's talk about the fight in general, like, from like an animation and setup standpoint, because there's also some things I like and some things I don't like.
Okay.
I like the use of verticality. So
I was gonna say that's my favorite part of the fight.
Yeah, so many fights in the series are on just blank, empty, open spaces.
Yeah, they're actually using the terrain
even when they get a little more creative, like with the Vital Festival tournament ring and the airship that RWBY fought Torchwick on, they're still just open areas. This volume has been doing a lot better job at bringing the environment into play. They did a little bit with the Manticore fight,
train.
with the Manticore fight and the train, having it constantly moving and having like where they had to all like get down because they were going into a tunnel. The Cinder and Neo fight where Cinder was like where they were like using the tables and bar stools to like try to get the high ground, but Cinder underestimated Neo's power, and then and in this fight they really use the fact that it's a tower with several small platforms going up. They I think it was very well done on that front.
that they fell out of it though.
Yeah, because now they're just in a big open area for next episode.
Yeah. And it might still work out if it's just like, okay, this is just, Adam and Blake and it, like, no tricks, no nothing, just sword on sword, but
yeah, it's like the first Thor movie. Like you get this glimpse of this very beautiful location that had never been brought to life in film to that scale, and then less than a third of the way in you realize, oh crap, they just blew all their budget. Now we're stuck in middle of nowhere desert New Mexico for the rest of the movie. That's the kind of feeling I got from when they tumbled off the tower and hit the trees and stuff. Now, my complaint: why were they mocapping this fight? It's obvious that they mocapped it, and it's not just because we've seen some leaked images of the RWBY and stuff that came out this week as well. That was talking about this episode. It's just. It's really stiff. It's very much like two people who don't know martial arts swinging swords at each other.
Okay.
Yes, let me grab your sword hand.
It's difficult. Like, it all looks bad when you if you ever watch an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender and then you watch an episode of RWBY back to back, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
Or even like the Star Wars oh god, I rewatched Phantom Menace again about a week ago now, Such an underrated movie. I don't. I need to do a video on it to show why everyone is just
Again,
wrong
if it wasn't
about it.
for midichlorians, people would hate that movie a lot
Yeah,
less.
yeah.
Or Jar Jar.
Also, and Jar Jar and Jake Lloyd. If you take those three things out,
They
and the
could
fact that
not
it
do
really,
anything to fix Jake Lloyd's accent.
there's a couple other things, but we went on for like 2 hours on just that subject.
Yes, we did. We did do a
alone.
podcast, and
Yeah.
our conclusion was it really isn't that bad. Episode 2 is way worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, no, it's RWBY's fight scenes. If you ever compare them to like Avatar: The Last Airbender, a show that put in so much effort, where not only did they get a martial artist to do all the mocap for the fighting, like a fucking kung fu master who, like, I think he mastered like 4 styles or something like that.
And they had those 4 individual styles in the show.
Yep, and
Yeah,
then
that were based on real world styles.
And then, not only that, when they introduced Toph, they brought in another martial artist. Not like, oh, let's just get the guy who's a great martial artist to like do this martial arts style that, even though he doesn't practice, he could probably still do a pretty good job of. No, they didn't do that. They brought in a separate martial artist who was a master of the praying mantis style, which is the very unique style that Toph uses, and had him mocap her and do all the stuff for her. That's how you do it. That is how you put effort, and it fucking works, and it fucking shows. And again, you can't just say, "Oh, Rooster Teeth doesn't have the budget for that," because if they could find a way. If you really want to make something happen, you can find a fucking way to make
it would be better if they just did it by hand. Just do it by hand, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, then just exactly.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, I don't care if you rotoscope animation from other sources, so long as the thing that you're ripping off is also good. Like, I don't hate the dragon fight because it ripped off Advent Children. I hate the dragon fight because Advent Children sucks ass.
That dragon fight still, I think I said before, it's one of the worst fights in the show. It's fucking horrible. I hate that fight.
I like the idea
and not just
behind
because
it.
Blake's in it. It's a bad fight anyway, because I love Sun, and Sun's in it, and he doesn't save it at all. It's still terrible.
Yeah. And it's just death of the artist. Monty Oum. That was his philosophy on fight scenes. He always hand drew his fight scenes, and his philosophy, like his quote was something along the lines. I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't know the exact quote. There's only so many ways you can throw a punch. There's only so many ways you can throw a kick. So I use mocap to so I don't use mocap for that. I only use mocap for getting the like small minute human gestures like walking, shaking hands, hugging, waving, smiling, that stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Which
what
I think
what
does
mocap
make more
is better
sense.
for.
I mean, we're not Monty worshippers here, but I think, compared to what
Well, he knew what he was talking about is the thing. Like,
he was right about that.
Dumb.
I agree.
He wasn't
Right
dumb
about
when
that.
he was
Good fight choreographer. He was a good fight choreographer.
My point is, I definitely agree with him on that point, and that would have been better than what they did here, because it did look awkward and this fight definitely. I liked the concept of it. I liked that they went more vertical, but it did feel awkward quite often, and not just because of the jilted, terrible dialogue and the terrible delivery by 2 of the worst voice actors in the entire cast.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say this about it. Last week, Coop, you were talking about how the fights feel too clean early on. Like Monty's fights felt way too clean. They didn't feel like real dirty and ugly. I feel like if the show had like, I don't know, that like this fight might have been a little more kind of what you were talking about there. A more messy fight.
Yeah.
But
that's not what he meant by messy though. This is messy just because it looks bad. He was talking about messy and like knock down, drag out, mud and blood on your face, big disgrace, kicking your ass all over the place style fights.
Yeah.
Like the fights from Daredevil. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh god,
yes.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fair.
That would
That's
be great.
fair.
Rip in peace, Daredevil.
Oh god, I actually just rewatched the Daredevil versus Bullseye episode yesterday because I was basing a fight around the idea of someone who's like really good at like hand to hand stuff fighting someone who is kind of good at hand to hand but way better at like throwing stuff from like mid range, and So I had like a Bullseye type character and a Daredevil type character like going at it in the most recent chapter of RWBY On, which you can read now at fanfiction.net. Link might be in the description, it might not, depending on how aware of my surroundings I am by the time I'm done with this.
I think it is up. Okay, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like this fight might have worked if the show hadn't like I don't know if maybe the show hadn't been so clean before because yeah it just feels kind of nice. But
I actually, to switch and be positive right now, I still think the fight works. I'm not the biggest critic when it comes to like the animation and the choreography and all that stuff.
yeah,
I still like the verticality of the fight. I like that. Again, we talked about this before.
it has its good bits.
But now I'm going to switch to being positive and say what I like about this episode overall. I definitely liked it more than after watching it the second time. I liked it more than most of the episodes we've had recently. Not just because stuff's actually happening, but I like that they did put the plan into motion. I liked the beginning of the episode, except for the cringy, guard shit. But this time I at least liked the dialogue between Cordovan and Maria. I liked the plan overall. It does, at least for the most part, make sense. I get it. And I like that, especially what media said, is like at least Adam is a threat in the way he can be the most. I like, what was I trying to say? I like that, as much as I'm complaining about like how he's like not that much, in a weird way, he's not a threat, but he is a threat. I like the way they did it, and I like that at least it's involved with Weiss's predicament. I think that's very good, and I like that what we've been asking for. They have done this. This fight scene did show that they are doing a lot of the stuff we said they needed to do, which is retcon a lot of stuff. They have retconned a lot of stuff actually from the last volume. The only way they could save the show. I know you can't completely save Adam, but I am glad that Blake is scared shitless of him again. Even though it makes no sense for her to be scared shitless of him again, I still prefer that. I still think it's better that she's scared shitless of him again because I'd rather them erase what happened in Volume 5 than go off of what happened in Volume 5. It's almost as like, you notice, they don't mention anything about Volume 5. They're only talking about the stuff before that. And that is great. That is one of my favorite parts about this scene. As much as I complained earlier about this exact scene, that stuff I liked. I like that they're not even going to talk about it. Adam is still scary. He can still kick Blake's ass. He's still taunting her. He's still angry. It still feels like, as much as I don't care if Blake dies, it still feels like he could kill her right now. Even though I don't feel like he's as much of a threat to the entire team as I said before, because he's by himself. He at least does feel like a threat to Blake in this scene, which is what he's supposed to be the entire show. So that means they basically retcon Volume 5, and that's exactly what we said they needed to do. Like, I love that that's what they did. They actually did retcon Adam from Volume 5. And I fucking love that. So I do have some tension because I'm kind of contradicting myself, but if I could explain it better, I wouldn't be, because he's not. Basically, what I mean is he's not a threat to the entire team as he should be. It would be, in some ways, I would prefer it if he joined up with Neo and Cinder, because then together they'd be more of a threat to the entire team. And also, this also hurts them too, because if it's just Neo and Cinder, they're not as much of a threat by themselves against the entire team. I don't see what they can do. However, I do like that Adam is at least a threat to Blake. I don't really care if Blake dies, but I still feel like he could really hurt her. And if he can knock her out and it's just him and Yang, he could hurt Yang again. That's where I would actually really see the threat coming in, is if he could actually just hurt Yang.
Wait, would it have been better if Blake gets done what she was supposed to do at the tower, goes back to the motorcycle, and then it's like, look at what I did, Blake, as like Yang has just been trashed off screen?
No, because I wouldn't like to see it get trashed off screen. I'd like to see it. And I do like the whole thing of...
And again, it would take away the urgency.
Yes, the urgency of they have to help Weiss. And I also like, as Mita pointed out, I like that the plan is going wrong overall. I am glad that they're not just getting away scot-free, because this is actually going more difficult than I thought it would. I really thought they were going to get away a lot easier than this. And I'm glad that I think I'm going to be wrong about that, because I really do think even if they get away, they're not going to, I don't think they're going to be on okay terms with Atlas. They are going to enter Atlas as criminals. And Ironwood will probably attack them first before he tries to help them. It is dangerous. So I like that. I'm glad I was wrong. I think it was last week I said, I think it's going to be super easy and whatever, and they're going to get away and they're going to get to Alice, and then shit might go down after they try to talk to Ironwood. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think this episode showed that even if they get away, they're coming in hot, and it's going to be a lot more tense and dangerous when they get there, especially with how Ironwood's been acting lately. So that's actually very good too. I think overall this episode has good implications for the rest of the volume. So as much as I had some problems with, like, it's hard not to have problems with
Adam,
yeah, as much as it's hard to not have problems with that, I still like this episode overall because it proved me wrong on something that I wanted to be wrong on. This plan is actually going to shit, and I thought what would happen is, like, in this episode it would go a little bit bad, and then by the end of this episode, like, Blake would have gotten the thing up, and then they'd be on their way already.
Yeah,
I don't
Blake
think that's
doesn't
gonna
even need to beat Adam. She's just gotta do what she needs to do and then fuck off.
But I don't even know if that's gonna. I hope that's not what happens. I actually hope it goes worse than that. I hope that. I think it's already gone bad enough. That was what. Okay, here's the thing. What I thought would happen was Blake would go, oh, where's Blake? Where's Blake? Where's Blake? And then she'd get it back on, and then they would be able to cover it up and get away scot-free. That's really what I thought would happen. They would do like the normal TV show bullshit of, oh, something minor kind of went wrong, so we can fake some tension, and then everything works out anyway. That they've already gone past that because Atlas knows that they're stealing shit. So again, even if they get away, they're not getting away on good terms. So they'll come into Atlas.
I mean, I'm not sure how they're gonna, how Cordovan's gonna let Ironwood, hey, this was stolen and stuff like that. But
don't they have communication?
No. They don't have long-term communications.
Yeah, not that we know.
Well, what?
I don't know. Maybe she sends a really fast message.
Or they could come in chasing them. They could actually send fighters afterwards.
Yeah.
I still like the idea. I hope that's what happens. I like the idea that this went a lot worse than I thought. I thought this would have been this was going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what if like that happens and they have to like destroy some of the ships and some of the people die, and then you really get are we the bad guys?
Yeah, that would be great. I don't know if they'll do that.
I mean, you could also even argue to also, like, this will accidentally lead to, like, political tensions between fucking Mistral and Atlas.
Yep.
Like, RWBY accidentally sparks, like this is the, I don't want to be like, oh, this sparks the Second Great War, but it's like, oh, we did this, and now Mistral and Atlas are going to try to fight over the rightful clay, their quote-unquote rightful clay of Argus, because if you know anything about countries,
I mean, I feel like Cordovan would have done that way worse, but that can work. Yeah, if they're kind of like Mistral, if it's like, Mistral is at their throats because of how Cordovan responded to this, and everybody and like RWBY kind of feels partial blame for that, but it's like, hey, it's not entirely. I don't know. That could work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but I think my main point is, as much as Adam's still, not the best handled, it's still, I'm glad that this didn't go smoothly for them. Because I personally, I don't know about everybody else, but I really thought that this would have, that them getting away was going to go a lot better than it has. I'm glad it's gone to such shit.
Yeah, and I will say this in defense of the giant mech and I initially thought when they were opening the bay and something was coming out, I thought they were getting, just some massive dreadnought like airship after them, but that would have been like, I don't know, not sure. First of all, not sure how effective that would be in a single small ship, and also RWBY's taken one of those down kind of single-handedly yourself, so it's kind of like, oh, that's not, this is so it's all like, oh, okay, so we're doing this again. So like I guess maybe they thought that the mech was kind of upping the ante and stuff like that, but yeah, it's still just I don't know. So yeah, again, it's one of those things where it's like I like what happened in this and some of the context again with Adam and stuff like that kind of weighs it down, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not perfect, but I think it's a lot better than what we've gotten recently.
Yeah.
And again, to people listening to this, I know we're not always. I know me especially. I'm not the most consistent when talking during these podcasts. Like I kind of go back and forth on my opinion during a lot of these. But that's kind of part of the fun of these podcasts. Is
that's why
It's a way for us to think about the show.
That's why I do these before I even write my reviews up.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're kind of, that's part of the fun is you're on the journey. If you're listening, you're on the journey with us as we sort of analyze the episode. Like
And figure out what we like about it.
Yeah, my final thoughts on the episodes don't really form until we finish the podcast where, it's kind of like, oh, somebody else makes a good point. It's like, oh yeah, you know what, maybe that was better than I thought. Or maybe that's worse than I thought.
The most definitive opinions you're going to get out of us are going to be like, whatever we do are like overall as a whole finale podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when we do like the volume wrap ups and when we rank episodes and stuff like that, that's much more consistent. But that's part of the fun of the podcast, honestly, is like, oh, you know what? It's like, okay, there's problems with this episode. But it's like now it's like, you know what? I do like this episode overall.
So are we about ready to get into some predictions? Because
yes,
I have a lot of predictions for the next episode, but I don't really know what they're going to do from there.
Yeah, it is kind of open-ended in what they could do.
Robert?
I will voluntarily go last here because I've been talking too much.
Yeah, Robert wanted to make another point first.
Okay. Just something we forgot to mention was also Crow. What's going on because... Crow
being like, that's so bad. That's dumb.
Yeah, but I like what RWBY said, though, because I almost feel like... Sorry, are you hearing me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
You only cut out for like a second.
Okay. I feel like what RWBY says is kind of a better version. Said last week that it's like, we're not your responsibility, and, we can take care of ourselves. This isn't your fault. Let us handle this, and if you want to come along, fine. Like, I feel like that was a better version of what she said last week.
I was about to say that.
Crow blaming himself. It's like, dude, get over yourself. You're nowhere near them. This plan is failing because you're a bunch of goofballs going against an entire military. That's why it's running into problems. And because Blake has terrible taste in men.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I was gonna say, like, when Crow started moping again, I was like, oh, not this again.
But I like RWBY's response.
What you said is great, yeah. Because remember, I had a problem with what RWBY said last week, even though I like that she's taking more charge. I didn't like what she said, and again, I know the leitmotif. The leitmotif was lame. I know what a leitmotif is, Robert, but I thought it was lame and poorly.
He knows what a leitmotif is, damn it.
It's poor. Yeah, where's that on a quote? Jake, dude, what the heck knows what a leitmotif is? But I thought it was a bad leitmotif. I didn't like it. I don't think it was well composed, and I thought it was poorly implemented. But so that's why I didn't like that whole thing. I don't like what RWBY said last episode. But this episode, I really like what she said, and I agree with what you just said, that this is basically what she should have said last week. This is what we should have gotten. This made more sense to me. It was it just wasn't quite as cheesy. It was more like just to the point and straightforward, and not like trying to be all inspirational. It's just like, no, we're gonna try get over yourself. Yeah. We do need your fighting help, but we're still in charge. That's exactly what we've needed. So that I liked. I like that they are at least still consistent with that too. I am glad that, again, this volume, as much as some of the recent episodes haven't been the best, I do like that they are staying consistent with, hey, no, the kids are fucking in charge now. RWBY's the goddamn leader now. We are staying consistent with that. I do want to give them credit for that because we can't take that for granted given how RWBY's never really been in charge up until this volume. And I'm glad she's still in charge this volume. So thank you for that, Rooster Teeth. That I do still appreciate that. I have to remember to be appreciative of that.
Yeah. Okay, now we can go into
So-
predictions.
Yeah. Anyways, predictions.
Okay,
I will shut up for a
so
while.
I want to go first on this because I want to be the
Go.
one that says it. I want Jean to amplify Weiss's summon and have a giant fucking mech fight.
That would be,
That would make
that could actually be
make the
really
That
worth
would
it.
make up for this mech being so big. That would make up for that. I would still not like the design of this mech. Just because just to reiterate, it's an aesthetic thing. It just doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit in with everything else we've seen from Atlas.
Yeah, it looks like it belongs out of Warhammer 40k.
Yeah,
It really does.
But having Weiss's freaking armor Gigas be like freaking Godzilla, be freaking Jet Jaguar size, and fighting this freaking Eva, like just yeah, please.
that would be badass.
I'm not even a mech fan. I like Gundam Wing just fine. That's I really dig. I really like Eureka 7 and I really like Code Geass, but I don't really care much for the mech aspects of those shows.
Yeah, they're not the best part of.
Yeah.
Code, well, definitely
Code
not the
Geass
best
is
part of
actually
Code Geass.
trash, but that's a different
I
conversation.
like it.
I like
Critical
Code Geass
aspect
because
is
they
like-
kill the pilots in very unique and creative ways.
It's faux intellectual stuff is the problem
It kind of
with it.
is. But I think Eureka 7 is very comfy, as far as those kinds of shows go.
Is that the one with the surfing mechs?
Yes.
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 To be fair, you have to be really intelligent to understand Code Geass.
That is true.
I've
Code
There's nothing like Monty.
God,
Nothing like
Code
Monty.
Geass was the original Rick and Morty.
No, it
You wanna-
wasn't.
You want to know the best part? I haven't watched either of those shows.
Fair enough.
But anyway, I just because RWBY tells Weiss to get down there because she needs her if they're going to take down that mech. That was just like as soon as RWBY said that, I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get like giant freaking Jet Jaguar armor Gigas up in this bitch. And my other main prediction is I think we're gonna get a pretty straightforward Blake and Yang versus Adam. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward, and I think it's going to end on like the face reveal because they like to end on stuff like that. You know, they really like. I also think it's going to be disappointing when we see Adam's
I was going to
face.
say, it's going to be disappointing.
If you wanted us to care about Adam, you should have made us care
the-
about
it's-
Adam.
It's the Toby problem all over again. I swear. It just it keeps following me around no matter what fandom I attach myself to, and from there I don't know where they go from here. Like they defeat the mech, they shut down the tower. I mean, at this point, shutting down the tower is useless. You know, they already have the giant mech.
They
after
might
them.
as well just like defeat the
Yeah.
mech and get on the plane and just fly over. It's like-
and just fly away as far and fast as they can. So we'll probably still get to Atlas by the end of this volume, and I'm thinking
I'm still
because
really
okay,
hoping
I'm gonna
ahead.
think about this as if it were 4 episodes like what was originally scheduled. But again, we don't know how that time got reallocated. For all we know, we could already be ahead of the curve on that. Like this was supposed to be episode 12 for all we know, or episode 11. We just don't know. We'll probably never know until at least until they'd start doing like their own like streams and RWBY rewinds and RTX panels and stuff, and someone asks them that.
Yeah.
So I think 2 episodes for this Argus fight. And then 2 episodes for getting to Atlas and dealing with Cinder, and that's the finale.
Mm-hmm.
I would be.
Oh,
I think
God.
that would be the best. And then of course, like you're gonna have to like chop some of that stuff up and move some things around to fit it into 3 episodes instead of 4. But I think that's the long and short of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go with my predictions, or
Yeah, you go.
okay. Yeah. So as cool as the so yeah, I could see. I really like the idea of the Armagigas, but I guess just have a different opinion or here. Something I could see potentially happening is basically they all just have to infiltrate the mech from the inside and stuff like that, and we just get some cool shots of hopefully everyone, including Jean, having some good fight moments, against like Atlas personnel, not trying to kill anyone, but knocking everyone down, and I don't know, maybe bashing in those stupid fucking hats. But basically, like, well, yeah, they show up, fight through it, and as far as like Adam and I think Yang's gonna join in the fight. I think at first she's gonna be like, she's kind of gonna freeze up and be like way too scared to fight him. I don't know. Nope. Like no talk, no jutsus or anything like that. Like to get her to fight him, but just like a moment where just a moment where Yang sees him and like freezes up and you know Blake's on the ropes, and then finally Yang jumps in, slugs him, and I think Adam's gonna die. I don't know. Yeah, I think Blake's gonna stab him in the gut, and like his thing's gonna gonna fall away. We're finally gonna see his face, and nobody's really gonna care because nobody really cares about Adam because they fucked him up.
And he was blind the entire time.
Or something like that. Yeah, he's like, we're gonna see that. I don't know. His eyes are permanently closed or something, or faded or something. I don't know. But like, he's gonna. I don't know. But yeah, so it's gonna be like Adam doesn't. Yeah, so we're gonna get that. I think Adam's gonna die here. I think it's done. He's done. It's time to put him to rest. But yeah, I think they're gonna fly to Atlas. And again, I'm really hoping that my prediction ends up being. Yeah, they get there. They end up managing to make things work with Ironwood. Again, really hoping that it turns out Ozpin is in control. Ozpin, talk no jutsus. Ironwood seems like everything's gonna be okay, and then Cinder and Neo show up. Everything goes to hell. Then Watt and Tyrion kill Ironwood, and reveal this horrible truth about the council, and just everything goes to shit. And it's like, and the volume ends with all of them as fugitives from every kingdom. Still really hoping that happens. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious though. Like, how are they gonna show off Cinder getting to Atlas? Like, are we gonna have like a chunk of one of the upcoming episodes of like, oh hey, look, we're in Atlas now? Or are they just gonna fucking be there? Like, we just don't know. Like, we don't know if they're gonna show up like as they're trying to leave. So,
maybe it's just like Maria or Cordovan, like in the aftermath of everything. Cordovan's going around like, okay, scramble fighters, we need to get together to get after them, and then Cinder just walks and Neo just walk into the base and just kill everyone, and are just like, we need this ship, and just blow up like that scene in Winter Soldier where they're trying to send all the air help for Cap, and he just walks in and just blasts his way through the entire thing. Like, I think that could be really cool. Like, they just blow up the entire thing in one ship, which they both board and take off. It's just like, oh shit. They're pissed, and they're kind of actually a threat. But I don't know. Even though they just took out a bunch of mooks, but I don't know. That could be cool. Who knows? Anywho.
Yeah. Next up for predictions, Coop or high powered.
I'll do my predictions real quick. I feel like the next episode will actually give us our like proper scope of how this is gonna be, because I mean, I could definitely see them making it to Atlas. I'm kind of curious if like Watts has already beat them to, I don't know, it might even be like the Watts and RWBY and them are all showing up at the same time. Could be interesting, and that it's like a race to see who gets to General Ironwood first. I don't know if it'll be cheap if like Cinder and Neo somehow manages to sneak their way in. I do like Robert's idea of them just rolling up to the base and just beating everyone up and stealing a ship, I'd actually be kind of fine with that. So it's really kind of just up in the air. I expect, as lame as it sounds, I kind of want Adam to be the blind swordsman trope.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either
Even
they
though that
kill
would come
Adam, either
completely
they
out of nowhere. But
yeah, it would come completely out of nowhere. But I would also expect either Adam to die or be like flung off a cliff or like left for dead or gets arrested. Like one of those outcomes is what I expect. I don't expect Adam to like run off into the woods like an idiot again. He's already burned that like I'm just gonna run away card. You can only do that so many times. He isn't Team Rocket.
yeah. Yeah, I think he's done after this volume.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like we kind of just gotta wait for the next episode and like the teaser that we'll be getting Monday just to see what happens. So,
Yeah.
but we just kind of got to see. I feel like I'm just curious like how all these plot lines are gonna reconnect because we've got the thread of Watson Tyrion, we have the Cinder thread, and then we also have the Adam and main team thread all slowly. Like we don't know how they're gonna snake together, and is it gonna be like a nice blanket, or is it just gonna be a fucking, big ass knot that makes no sense?
Yeah.
But someone else's turn now, so Cooper, Dude, or whoever wants to go next.
Well, dude said he wanted to go last, so.
Yeah.
All
So,
right, it's Coop's turn.
I mean, like, I don't really have much to say that's really different than anybody else did about it. That's probably what's going to happen. Probably is going to end up being the whole blind thing,
Yeah.
or whatever. As for the mech fight thing, like, yeah, that sounds interesting. So, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Alright.
guys.
That's okay.
Yeah, you're good. We're all tired.
So my turn now,
I'm
I guess.
actually like semi hungover right now, so
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Lol.
gotcha. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough.
But you're not in a base in Vietnam. How can you be drunk?
that is true.
Because alcohol's cheaper
You're
than
in the
water.
desert in California.
Where alcohol's cheaper than water.
The bar is actually reasonably well priced here. I was very impressed with that when I first got here.
Nice.
That's good. All right, so my turn, I guess.
Go for it.
So I know we used to do, especially during the end of and after Volume 5, we did the thing where we said what we wanted to happen versus what we thought would actually happen, making fun of the fact that they were, at that point, always choosing the worst possible.
I swear, if they don't do the mech fight, I'm going to be pissed.
Okay, I get that, but either way, I have to admit that they have actually done this volume a lot of the things that we said they should do, that we wanted them to do, i.e. retconning a lot of things. So, from now on, until they start fucking up again, which hopefully they won't, I am instead going to talk about best case scenario versus worst case scenario, because I have been wrong on a lot of things, including just last week I was wrong that the escape was going to go way too easy, and I'm glad I was wrong. So instead I'll do best case scenario versus worst case scenario. So best case scenario, because they've actually been doing some best case things, which is nice. So best case scenario for me is the mech fight, because that's media's idea and it's fucking great and it'd be awesome. And then and then it's Blake and Yang together killing Adam. I would like that. I want him to just be dead and get it over with. I don't really care what happens. I don't want it to be too much of a focus. I want him to be dead. At this point, it doesn't even matter if she turns off the relay or the tower or whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't matter anymore. They beat the mech. They get away. They have fighters chasing after them. and they get to Atlas, but with people firing, chasing them, and like I said, they come in hot, and they are treated as hostile, even by Ironwood, because Ironwood's being so defensive right now.
Like he
And-
he can't give anyone special treatment, like because the council or whatever.
Yeah,
Even though he's Big Balls 2-seat Ironwood, he can't give special treatment.
Yeah, and at the same
It's 2
time,
seats for those big balls.
and maybe I think also be great is that at that point, Watts and
Oh no, Godzilla's about to attack! Dude! Run, hide!
Oh, we're talking about mech fights, and dude just finds himself inside of a kaiju movie.
Sorry, we're hearing those sirens
Yeah.
there.
He just would push the talk and probably stop talking for a minute.
Hey, aren't you glad it's Japan and not New York City? If it was New York City, it'd be sirens the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
Aren't you guys glad that was the first siren of the podcast? I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
Yeah.
I thought there
And
was
also-
zero crime in the magical land of.
Also, well, no, it's an ambulance, not a police car.
So
Oh,
someone
no.
probably just
that they
So
got
it's just another Japan's 122-year-old old ladies that are probably, something like that. It's probably what's going on. So no, it's still not even a police car. So anyway, so they come in hot, and at that time, it's revealed that Team Watson, Tyrion, and all them have already fucked with shit, and fucking Cinder and Neo are already there too. And I just want it to be a giant clusterfuck of all them motherfuckers at the same time having to fight. And I don't even know what happens out of that. I guess what I would like to have happen is Cinder has to. Yeah, I would like it if Cinder and Neo still have to fuck off, or we just don't get them at all, and we have to save them for later, because I don't think with everything that's already happened that I don't see how, because you'd have to kill them off at the end of the season, which, is that really the right time to do it with everything else that's happening? I don't know if that is. I think it might be better to save them for later, or you just kill them off now. But I want them to, basically, I do want the ending to be, oh, no, this is what I want. Sorry, not them fucking off. Not that. Sorry, now I remember where my head was at. Okay, best case scenario, they get there, everybody is against them now. Atlas is against them because Tyrion and Watts have done their shit. And you got Cinder and Neo at the same time. I know they said Neo's going to do something that everybody's going to hate, but remember, they don't know what people actually like. So what I think is going to happen is Neo's going to kill Osktard. And I think what I'm hoping is that at this point, Ozpin is so done or whatever, he doesn't reincarnate anymore, and they're all on their own. And I think what's going to happen is then it's going to start they're going to be all like despondent and sad because, oh no, we're supposed to care about poor cute boy Oscar, even though we're not because he sucks. And we're supposed to be like, oh, they don't even have Ozpin to lead them anymore. Oh no, what are we going to do? And they fucking lose harder than ever, and they get hurt and shit. I actually hope Ren or Nora gets hurt really badly, and then they finally have to like confess their love for each other, all that sort of shit, like the cheesiest goddamn bullshit ever. Because I don't care if that's cheesy. They've waited way too long. It's got to fucking happen already, and they just have to like fucking run off and hide somewhere, and they're on the run from everybody. I think Robert said that'd be they're on the run from everybody at that point. That's what I want. That'd be best case scenario. They don't even really do much in Atlas. They just got to get the fuck out of there. And then it's all them on their own. And I hope Crow dies too. I want Crow to die as well. I'd even be happy if Maria dies. I want it to just be the fucking kids all by themselves. It looks as like bleak as fucking possible at the end of this volume. People are hurt, and that's where they're left with. That I would love to see how the fuck they come back from that. That would be amazing. How they write them out of that. That would just be so awesome. That's what I want. Worst case scenario.
Ruby loses an eye.
Yeah, Ruby loses an eye. I patch Ruby. Ren almost gets killed. Or actually, I don't know which would be better. I think it'd be better if Nora almost gets killed and Ren has to be the one to man up and confess that he loves her. I think that'd be better personally. Yeah, that's what I want. Worst case scenario is they don't kill Adam. He like just hurts one of them again, and it's just kind of a repeat. But he does have to fuck off when the rest of them come over. They don't do the mech fight. The worst thing I think would be is if they capture Adam and then they use that as like leverage to get nice with Atlas. Then they get to Atlas, and it's just a retread of Volume 5 where they get to Atlas, and Watts is already revealed to again be influencing somebody, and like Weiss gets taken back to her house again or something dumb like that. Imagine how bad that would be. Like that's what the next volume is like, oh no, we gotta go.
Would it be a worse plot twist if Watts is working with fucking what's his name, Jock?
Yeah, that would be terrible. Like, do we really want to see that?
Oh,
Like,
that might not,
I don't want to see that because then it's just like oh, let's get Weiss out of her house thing. Like, and we have to finagle with
we have to finagle with like Jock out of the house. But if like I don't know what I was talking about, if they kill Ironwood and that might
replace him with Winter.
Well, no, replace what?
No, you cut out.
Sorry, like if it turns out that that like Salem has people, and then they replace, and then like Watt and Tyrion kill Ironwood and replace him with Jacques. That might be kind of interesting.
That would be, I'd be fine with that if that includes the Team RWBY still get their asses absolutely handed to them and have to fuck off with their tails.
Yeah, in addition to them getting.
That's fine. But if the plot ends up being the focused on, now we're stuck here, let's try to do espionage bullshit like they did in Volume 5 again, then I'll be pissed. I don't want that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be like, oh no, Weiss is back in her house.
For another volume.
Because, and here's the thing, that doesn't sound terrible. The problem is that they can't execute that in this show. That's the thing. They've proven that they can't execute that kind of stuff. So while that might not sound like a terrible concept, it sounds bad knowing what RWBY as a strength, the show's strengths are. That's not a strength. And then like it revealed that like, oh, Oscar's taken over it's not Ozpin taking over and we still have to deal with Oscar. I just want them fucking dead. They're so annoying. Like even in this episode, it's like anytime he says anything, it feels so forced. What does he add? He's so pointless. Why does Oscar have to say anything? It makes me want to punch him every time he says a single word.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's worst case scenario. Is just things go pretty easy for them. Again, they get there, and we just get more hints at stuff that might happen. I want them to get their fucking asses kicked. I want it to go as badly as possible, basically, and then have to it's just the kids left. Everybody except for all of the kids, basically. Well, I want Oscar to die too, but Team Junior plus RWBY is all that's left. That's it. Nobody else. That would be great. I think if that's just the core, it's just them. Because then it might be like they go to. Because actually, that would be great. Because then they had to retreat to Vacuo, and that might be where. Isn't Sun supposed to be in Vacuo or something like that?
Supposed to be. Yeah.
I would be fine. I would be totally fine and actually happy if it's all the kids' teams start teaming up. If it's like, oh, let's go get
Team Coffee.
Minus Team Coffee, of course. But honestly, I wouldn't even mind that as much as if the adults were still around. I'd rather have Team Coffee than Ostard. I honestly would, because at least they wouldn't be the same thing anymore. Then they would just be another group of kids, I think, if that's what they did.
Yeah.
I don't want them,
but it would make sense for them to have to retreat to Vacuo because, well, it's a lawless country where nobody, it's a lawless country full of outlaws, and we're outlaws now, so fuck.
Exactly. So, and then that's where they meet. They find Team Sun at the lowest point. They meet it with Sun's team, and that's how they start kind of building up together a group to finally start to do something. Because let's be honest, after this volume, this is volume 6. The next is volume 7.
Yeah.
But that's whenever the cycle starts over again, too, also. So volume 7 should be good based off of...
My guess is, I don't know if they go beyond volume 10 with this show, especially when they're trying to do something like Genlock. So I think
the plan is that they, just 10 volumes.
I think they're going to stop at 9 or 10, which is fine. So I think that this is when they start building up like the kid army or whatever, some shit like that, which it sounds dumb, but I think it actually would work if they start building up young huntsmen that follow RWBY, basically, and that's the group that ends up taking that ends up winning, and they're the ones that can figure out we can't just fight Salem, we have to reason with her or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I want them to get their asses kicked that bad.
My theory
Just
for what the end game
wipe
is gonna
the
be,
adults out of here.
Oh wait.
Wipe the adults and Osk Tard out of the show.
Yeah. Time for the new generation.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be great. And Renor needs to make out and have babies.
Yes, they do.
It's taking way too long. I'm getting really bored of waiting for it.
All right. So, do any of y'all care? I'm just as a teaser for whenever we start doing our Genlock podcasts. I want to announce my initial main theory that I have for the show, which will include some spoilers. So if anyone cares, they can mute themselves.
Go for it.
I'm good. I'm listening. I don't care.
I think I know what you're going to say.
All right. So to anyone that's listening and doesn't want to hear this theory, which contains spoilers, you're gonna have until the count of 3 to turn off the podcast, and then probably wait like 5 minutes, and then come back.
This is
All
probably
right.
gonna be our last thing. But yeah.
Last thing, and then we're shutting it
I'll
down.
make on the image
Meditation.
on the image I will make you disappear. Which one is you? Are you just
The one with the gun.
I know which one is you. I'm looking at it because I have them named. There, you're gone, and you can have spoilers now. And when he comes back, you can unmute yourself, or yeah, undeafen, whatever. For those of you watching.
So spoiler time. So in the first episode of Genlock, the main character Chase is shot down. Near the end of the first episode, which was 30-ish minutes long.
Or
In a plane. He was in a plane, and he was shot
Okay.
down in a plane. Near the end of the episode, they go to a rescue mission to pick up some refugees fleeing the Union.
Mhm.
And the battle isn't going so well, and 2 mechs come out and like 2 mechas come out and fight, which are noticeably different than the mechs that we have seen previously. They actually look like Gundams and shit. Then they go back to have the briefing, and everyone's like, "Man, what the fuck was that? Who was piloting those mechs?" And then a hologram of Chase appears, which they presuppose they already show off the concept of the holograms, where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna meet our parents by putting on little holographic VR goggles and like sitting down to have dinner with my parents with holograms or whatever." And so
Okay.
my main theory that I have is that Chase survived the crash, but he's basically like a Darth Vader husk. Like he's a torso and maybe with like a stump of an arm or something, and he's floating around in a life support tube inside the robot, and that's how he's able to pilot it. He's still alive, but he's basically a husk. And
So
that
he
is
has
my
multiple body parts and stuff like that, and he's piloting it most of his mind.
yeah. He's a torso floating in a tube, and he's piloting the mech with just his mind.
Okay.
That is my main theory that I will stick with for the time being. Okay, we are done.
Plugging, and that's it. I have nothing to plug. The end.
I'm working on my fan fiction, and please
Same.
join the Discord.
Yeah.
Oh, did we check
Yeah.
emails?
I checked them.
Yeah,
there's no
We got
emails.
nothing.
Something I'm going to
We
do
really
is
gotta stop saying that on the air, for fuck's sake. We look so goddamn lame.
no. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start like opening up questions on Twitter and YouTube as well. Because
Okay.
I think for like our audience, that's just a way more accessible way of doing things for questions.
Don't have an email
Yeah.
address.
Well,
How are you supposed to sign up for all your free month Netflix trials?
That's precisely the point. They have a bunch of bogus email accounts, and they don't have the time to actually like log into their actual email to send messages. Yeah. So I'm gonna start doing that throughout the week, because I really like the community tab on YouTube. It's just something that it really works. It's a really good way to let people know like what you're doing and what you're up to, when to expect things, And keep in touch with your audience. If you ever like have to go on hiatus, I wish I had it a year ago. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'll start my plugs because I'm already talking. Read my fan fictions. I have 2 that I'm working on right now, but one of them is kind of taking precedent because I want it to end. Please. The other one is just like whenever I feel compelled to write trash, I will continue writing Just Act Manly. And other than that, follow me on Twitter at EAMediocrity4. Join the Discord. Join voice chat. Talk to us. Email us. Comment, subscribe on the YouTube. Consider supporting me on Patreon yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That covers literally everything. Okay.
I got nothing.
Sorry, I was not much of myself today.
Well, you have an excuse. I have an excuse too, but but this is my channel, so I have to have some level of professionality. I have to be at full mental capacity, which I am at full mental capacity as I shove this fistful of Cocoa Puffs down my throat.
Is professionality a word?
It is
Probably not.
No, it definitely is. Professionalism, actually. That's the word.
Alrighty.
I remember now.
Okay.
I think everyone's said their piece.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure, and I hope you all had a safe New Year. And let's
Bye-bye.
shut her down.
We will see you
Alright.
next week.
Yep.